The drug industry is starting the new year by hiking the prices of hundreds of prescription medications, despite pressure from President Trump. A group that tracks drug costs says about 60 companies increased the price on almost 300 medications. The price of insulin, a life-saving drug for diabetics, tripled between 2002 and 2013. Since 2008, 3 top manufacturers raised the list price of insulin at least 10 times. Werner shows us one state's plan to rein in soaring costs and one mother's personal fight. Anna, such an important story. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bianna. The state of Minnesota is taking action. It's suing 3 of the world's largest insulin manufacturers. And a mother who lost her son is telling her story and saying, enough.
My son died because he could not afford his insulin.
Nicole Holt's son Alec was 26. He had just moved out of his parents' home and was starting a life of his own.
The hardest part is every time I tell the story, it's like reality slaps me in my face that my son is no longer here.
That boy out here skating, though.
Alec was a type 1 diabetic, someone who needs to take insulin every day to survive. But turning 26 meant his parents' insurance would no longer cover the cost.
That amount of money was
$1,300.
$1,300 for a month's worth of insulin.
Insulin and supplies.
And what she says Alec didn't tell her was that he was struggling with that cost. He'd started trying to ration his insulin to make it last longer. It wasn't enough. He died after falling into a diabetic coma, alone in his apartment.
Nobody to be there with him, to hold his hand or to call for help. And I think about if he had never moved out, if he had lived at home, somebody would have, seen the signs.
Are you able to not feel guilty?
No. I'll probably feel guilty every day for the rest of my life.
But he didn't tell you, did he?
No.
So you feel guilty. You feel like you should have known.
Yeah.
Even though you couldn't have known.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I deal with that by advocating for other type 1 diabetics. I deal with my own grief and my guilt by fighting for the lives of others.
I think in America, nobody should lose their life because they can't afford the cost of insulin.
Lori Swanson is Minnesota Attorney General. She's now suing the top 3 insulin manufacturers for what she calls deceptive, misleading, and misrepresentative list prices.
They've raised the price of insulin by being in cahoots with the pharmacy benefit managers and having a secret price for them that the public doesn't get.
So you say in cahoots, which makes it sound like a bit of a racket.
Absolutely.
Drug manufacturers typically must negotiate with pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs. Those PBMs are middlemen in the pharmaceutical supply chain. Swanson alleges to make money, manufacturers set phony list prices that are artificially high, so they can offer greater rebates to PBMs and still maintain their profits.
The drug companies can make the same amount of money, but by doing that, they've created this ever-cascading cycle of higher and higher drug prices.
And many aspects of the process are secret.
You mentioned transparency, and yet I notice in your lawsuit there are parts blacked out.
There are, I know, and it's incredibly frustrating, and we're going to be fighting that because these companies claim that certain information is trade secret, that it's confidential, and they and only they can see it.
So you're literally not able to put those numbers into your lawsuit?
Exactly. Isn't that ridiculous? It's a public lawsuit filed in court, but we can't put the numbers in because they're claiming it's a trade secret and that nobody's entitled to know or see that information.
The company's response? Eli Lilly and Company told CBS News the lawsuit's claims are without merit. Novo Nordisk says the company is committed to ethics and compliance. And Sanofi says it provides significant rebates, but that unfortunately, it seems these savings are not consistently passed through to patients in the form of lower copays or coinsurance.
PBMs certainly play a problem here in the system, no doubt about it, but we sued the pharmaceutical companies because ultimately it's their product.
So you don't buy it when they say, well, it's not really our fault?
No, I don't buy it at all.
Neither does Nicole Holt, who has turned her grief into action.
We need your support to stop.
Last August, she told her story to senators in Washington. And in September, she protested outside Eli Lilly headquarters.
My son is not a statistic. He would be here if his life-saving medication was priced at a reasonable rate.
Minnesota's Attorney General Lori Swanson leaves office on Monday, but says her successor plans to continue the state's lawsuit. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb says that the FDA is going to be changing the way that they regulate insulin moving forward, but we don't know what those changes will be.
At $1,300 a month, Anna, there must be a lot of people trying to ration insulin.
There are. He is certainly not the only one who's tried to ration his insulin, which is very, very risky, as you can see.
Yeah.
And a bit frustrating to see so many redactions, too, right?
Right.
When we talk about
Can't hardly read the thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've done this story. Everyone I know who has diabetes 1, diabetes 2 has told me that insulin prices are going through the roof and making it very difficult for them. All right, thank you.